Hello, internet. It's that time again. It's review time. But before we get to that, I went to McKay's and got a bunch of stuff in this bag right here. So let's just go through what's in here. It's 8 movies to be precise. Alright. Where should I start? Now let's just start here. Okay, so considering I did that Rugrats video not too long ago, I thought to myself, you know what? Maybe I should do the Rugrats movies. You know, that could be fun to look back on now with adult eyes. And I thought, you know what? I should do it. And I got 2 of them. I have the original, the Rugrats movie, and I have Rugrats Go Wild. I could not find Rugrats in Paris, which annoyed me, so that's gonna have to wait. But these are the only 2 I can find as for now. So sorry, in Rugrats in Paris fans, you're just gonna have to stick with the original and the last one. So we're missing the middle, you know, in this trilogy of movies, so it's kind of awkward. So yeah, and the first one I'm likely gonna do I cannot talk, the Rugrats movie, you know, the original first, because it makes the most sense in terms of you know structure. Next up, we have a sequel to a movie I reviewed a while back, and I thought, you know what, I kind of need to review the sequel. And since Shadow of the Tomb Raider is going to come out next month, why not review the sequel to the movie? Lara Croft Tomb Raider, The Cradle of Life. Yes. This movie, I've heard it's slightly better than the original, but this was during a bad time for the Tomb Raider franchise. I mean, not only did this movie underperform at the box office, but Angela Darkness straight up tried to torpedo the whole franchise by being so terrible. And I did a gameplay of that. I could not get past the first part. I had no idea what I was doing. I was struggling so bad until I just gave up. So, yeah. Maybe this movie will be better. I know some are like, well, if you have the originals, you should do the new one. You know, the new Tomb Raider with Alicia Vikander. And I might do that one, because I've heard it's not so bad. But we'll see. Next up is a movie that was released 22 years ago. And it's pretty decent. It's Independence Day, you know, with Will Smith and Jeff Goldblum and company. So, yeah. It's interesting. I'm not doing the sequel. I'm never doing the sequel. Don't ask about the sequel. Okay? Good. Because that sequel can just rot. That sequel doesn't exist. I don't even think anybody remembers the sequel. That's how bad it was. So, that's why I have the original. And, yeah. Should be fun. It was one of the first big disaster movies. And I remember, you know, the image everyone remembers from that first movie was when the White House blew up. That's the image everybody remembers. It was great. But the movie is definitely a 90s flick. Right, next up is a movie I saw as a child, and I saw it, and I was like, I should buy this. You know, considering Wreck-It Ralph 2, or Ralph Wrecks the Internet, or Breaks the Internet, who cares? You know, has all the Disney princesses hanging out, being friends. I thought we might as well do one of those, but it's not going to be your typical Disney princess. I wonder if this will even be referenced in Wreck-It Ralph 2. Maybe, but I don't know. It's Enchanted with Amy Adams. This is an interesting flick. I mean, it starts off as, you know, animated, you know, your usual Disney animated flick, and then it just transforms into live action. So it's pretty interesting. And I like it quite a bit. Next up is, I realized I'm going to have to get one dumb movie. Well, technically, you could argue Independence Day and Tomb Raider 2 are both dumb. This is dumb. This is just... Ooh. It's ultra violent. I decided to get this because I remember from like a Watch Mojo list. I forgot which list it was, but this movie was on there, and it looks so bad. It looks like it looks like a video game from 2001, which is not a good thing. And it has Mila Jovovich, you know Alice from Resident Evil. So I'm like, and she's from The Fifth Element. So maybe this will be guilty pleasure fun, or it's just a completely terrible movie. I don't know, but I guess I'll find out soon enough. Next up is a classic, a real classic by many people. I remember I saw, I was at a friend's house recently, and he recommended, like, oh, you need to see this. This is a classic. How dare you not watch this? And I'm like, all right, fine, I'll give it a shot. And I saw it, and I was just like, might as well get it now. Spaceballs. The Star Wars parody. Yes. It's mostly Star Wars. I mean, yeah. People love this movie to death. They really do. And, I thought, watching this, could be fun. Could be a fun little time. So, yeah. That's Spaceballs. Last and least. One of my favorite actors, Keanu Reeves. This was long before John Wick saved his career. He was busy doing movies that were not very good. This is one of them. Constantine. It's not related to the Constantine, that's from, I think it was from the CW. Yeah, not that Constantine. This is 2005. This is when the comic book movie was, starting to make a comeback. After, the 90s nearly killed the genre. And I've heard it's not great. It's just, ugh. So, I don't know. Maybe I'll get a kick out of it, but whatever. So those are all the movies I got from McKay's recently. There are some I'm actively trying to look for. One of them is Rugrats in Paris. If I find it, I will let you all know. So the real review is a Quentin Tarantino film. And in terms of Quentin Tarantino films, we've done Django Unchained, and we've done Death Proof, and the Kill Bill movies. Am I missing anything? Nope, that's pretty much it. For now. Well, until now. I've been doing the movie that somewhat revitalized his career. Because Death Proof, although it was actually, not only was it a huge disappointment at the box office, but it was, some would say, was his worst film, which is like saying Interstellar is Christopher Nolan's worst film. Meaning it's still decent. When your worst film is still decent, you are a great filmmaker. That's the fact. So, actually, I found out that Quentin Tarantino, he actually wrote this movie like in 1998, but the reason why he didn't make it then was because he didn't know about the ending. Couldn't figure it out, so he waited like a decade and like, boom, I'm making this. And it is Inglourious Basterds. Yes, I forgot what number film. I guess like, I mean, Kill Bill Volume 1 and 2 are technically one movie. It's just that it's split in two. So he did his sixth movie? Yeah, his sixth movie. And it stars Brad Pitt and Christoph Waltz, who won an Oscar for his role, by the way. Also has, Michael Fassbender, Eli Roth. Oh, Samuel Jackson. He doesn't make a physical cameo, but you do hear his voice. And also Mike Myers is in this, so just to point that out. So yes, this is a World War II flick. It's in an alternative history, so don't be complaining. Oh, it's not accurate. It's not supposed to be accurate. It's alternative. It's not the same history. It's not trying to exactly follow history. It's kind of in its own little universe. So, yeah. So if you want to read the back, you can go right ahead. I mean, if you don't care, then let's just begin. So Brad Pitt takes no prisoners in Quentin Tarantino's high-octane World War II revenge fantasy. See, fantasy, not reality. Inglourious Basterds. As war rages in Europe, a Nazi scalping squad of American soldiers, known to their enemy as the Bastards, is on a daring mission to take down the leaders of the Third Reich. I think that's how you say it. Bursting with action, hair trigger suspense, and a machine gun spray of killer dialogue, Inglourious Basterds is another Tarantino masterpiece. So, yeah, that's basically explain things. Brad Pitt, he has a group of, like soldiers, American soldiers, and, their goal is simple. If you've seen the trailer for this movie, you know what their goal is. Killing Nazis. That's the goal. And, yeah, they definitely, at the end, spoiler, they definitely succeed at their goal. I'll explain that later, but, yeah. So, pros and cons. Pros. The acting, as you expect from a Quentin Tarantino flick, is very good. I mean, Brad Pitt, he's always been a pretty consistent actor when it comes to his talent. And, Christoph Waltz, again, he won an Oscar for this movie. So, yeah, and definitely, there's a scene in the beginning. He's technically the villain of this movie. Well, you can argue that Hitler is the villain, too. He's, one of the main antagonists. And in the beginning, it's a long scene, but it just builds a lot of anxiety and tension. You're just like, oh my gosh, what's gonna happen? So he goes to this farmer dude, and he's going to him with the Nazis. What they don't know is that there are Jews under the floor, but Christoph Waltz, he has his suspicions, and so after a long agonizing talk, he decides, okay, farmer, I'm gonna make sure your family doesn't get hurt, is not involved in the war, as long as we get to murder the Jews. And unfortunately, the farmer is like, fine. And the Nazis come in and they shoot the floor. I mean, they just obliterate that floor. And I think I forgot how many people. It was I think there was 3. 2 of them just got massacred. The other just ran away. And Christoph Waltz, he thought about shooting her, but then he's like, nah. He just lets her go away. And she does play a main part, in the movie. So, yeah, that opening scene made you hate him. He made you hate Christoph Waltz so much. But you know, that's what he was supposed to do, and he did his job. You know, a lot of the dialogue is very good. Again, this is Quentin Tarantino. This is how he does things. But yeah, I'll get to that in the cons. It's not necessarily a con for me, but it might be a con for other people. And this movie is violent. Very, very violent. It's a lot of blood, brutality, you know, head, you know, they look, I forgot, Brad Pitt's squad, they scalp heads. They literally take the top of your head and just cut it off. Like, all this, cut it off. And I'm like, oh, gosh. Jeez. I know, jeez, Tarantino, like, it's just a little much, isn't it? So yes, it's a lot of violence. If you're squeamish about violence, don't watch this movie. That's all I have to say. Do not watch this movie if you hate violence. Or gore. Or blood. Any of that. So cons. These aren't cons for me, but they're cons for other people. This movie is long. 2.5 hours. So that might already be a bit of a, you know, I don't know, I guess just kind of a red flag for some people. And also, this movie is very dialogue heavy. Some people want, you know, action, you know, 500 miles per hour action, just a bunch of guns blazing action. Quentin Tarantino doesn't do this necessarily. He does have action in his movies, but it's not like overwhelming action. He has a lot of dialogue, and if you don't like it, then you're not going to like any of his movies. And that's just the truth. I mean, when you think of Kill Bill, you're thinking, oh, this is going to be... I mean, the first volume was very action heavy. Second volume was very dialogue heavy. And I guarantee you, people from the second volume, people who saw that were not pleased. But that's just the way, that's his style. I mean, you can't knock the guy for his style. I mean, that's the way he wants to do things. And also, this movie goes by chapters. I mean, it's not a pro or a con, it's just like me. I mean, it's just, you know, the way he does things. It's all in segments, more or less. And at the end, there's just a gigantic massacre of Nazis. It's just straight up. I think they were like at a movie theater, and you know the screen goes up in flames. Everybody's trapped, and then Brad Pitt and his squad decide, let's just murder everybody. Like it's what was the game? Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2, that infamous part where you're in an airport and you massacre everybody. Yeah, that was at the end of this movie, more or less. At least part of the ending. The other ending is when they see Christoph Waltz. Instead of letting him, you know, killing him, they just scalp him. They put the Nazi symbol, was one of the Nazi symbols, the swastika symbol, on his head, and it is just gory. Like, oh my gosh. That just looks absolutely painful. That way, you know, he's reminded of what he is, or who he is. So, overall, it's definitely a Quentin Tarantino movie. I mean, it has everything. Good acting, good writing, good dialogue, violence, death, gore. Everything you want is in here, and I highly recommend it if you're a Quentin Tarantino fan. So I'm going to give this an 8 out of 10. So yeah. That is Inglourious Basterds. Next review is the type of movie I do not like. It's a direct-to-DVD flick. And you know direct-to-DVD flicks have a certain reputation for being terrible. This one is the third installment of a trilogy. And I realized I was going to do it eventually, but might as well do it now, or at least in the next video. Stuart Little 3. We're going to finish this Stuart Little trilogy. We're going to finish it. And even if I'm not going to like it, I have to finish it. So, yes, next review will be Stuart Little 3. What was the subtitle? Call of the Wild? Yeah, Call of the Wild. Should be fun. Depending on your definition of fun, that is. So make sure to subscribe, like this video, leave a comment, and I will see you all next time, and I am out.